Khalan Laborn is no longer with the program at Florida State. It's first reported by 247 Sports and then later confirmed by FSU representative that it was a violation of team policy. The former five-star, the number one all-purpose back coming into Florida State with Cam Akers. He's no longer going to be suiting up in the garnet and gold for Florida State. What are y'all's first takes on that?
Hey guys, it's Terrence Nan. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, a.k.a. E-Dub, in the house. So we're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother. What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. FSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What's happening, guys? This is Logan from Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day. We are here on this beautiful and gorgeous Tuesday evening. This is going to be a massive Q&A podcast. No guest, even though we do have Nate Greer on. I guess we kind of count him as a guest since he says we don't bring him on enough. But we're going to be on here covering basketball, football, recruiting, everything involved. We went to Discord, Instagram, Twitter, to grab questions from you guys. So we have a lot. I think we have over like 40 questions to answer in this podcast. So sit back, relax, enjoy it. And also, as usual, make sure you guys go hit up iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play. That is where we are based out of. If you're on iTunes, if you rate us 5 stars, we really appreciate it. And if you leave a review, that would really help a lot. I actually want to read out a review from this past weekend. Actually, this is one from Mark Knoll Man for Life. On Saturday, he rated us 5 stars and said, "Great podcast for information and the best guest of any other outlet. Being an alumni of an ex-football player, I enjoy these guys' up-to-date information in both football and basketball, even the dry-ass dad jokes. Keep up the great work, guys, and someone sponsor these guys. Go Noles." So thanks for that message there. But yeah, I need to welcome the guys on. We got a lot of work to do tonight. Let's get after it. I've got Dustin Lewis, our lead writer and editor, Austin Veazey, our lead basketball writer, and then Nate Greer, Noel Game Day's recruiting insider, with us tonight. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up?
What's up, man?
I agree. Your dad jokes suck, Logan.
Don't come after me.
They're the low light of the podcast every week.
I'm pretty sure that comment was for all of our dad jokes.
Yeah.
We do a pretty good job.
But mine are terrible?
They're pretty bad.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's why we're not doing any of that tonight. Just to let everybody know it's going to be a huge letdown. But there won't be a bad dad jokes segment. There won't be worst 3 segment or FSU trivia because, like I said, we have about 40, maybe 50 friggin' questions that we're going to try to run through for you guys. So it's already going to be lengthy. But we need to start off with some big news right off the bat, which I think is going to create a pretty good discussion. Khalan Laborn is no longer with the program at Florida State. It's first reported by 247 Sports and then later confirmed by FSU representative that it was a violation of team policy. The former 5-star, the number one all-purpose back coming into Florida State with Cam Akers. He's no longer going to be suiting up in the garnet and gold for Florida State. What are y'all's first takes on that?
It's a long time coming. I think that, he's always been unhappy as a second wheel coming in with Cam Akers. I think he thought that he was probably better, so to speak, and felt he deserved some playing time, but everything was self-inflicted with him from the start. Couldn't stay out of the doghouse. Seemed very unhappy. Always someone that from that first offseason, he's looking to possibly transfer and constantly being talked into staying. So, sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror, and while you have all the talent in the world, at the end of the day, if you can't keep your head straight and do what you're told and supposed to do, you're going to be in the doghouse, and you're not going to get the reps and the playing time that you think you deserve.
Yeah, very disappointing. And now Florida State basically loses 100% of its running back production from a season ago, with Cam Akers moving on to the NFL and Anthony Grant also leaving the program earlier this offseason. So you're really looking for Jashawn Corbin, fully healthy now from an injury a year ago, to step up as a starter. And then you've got guys like Juco LaDamian Webb and true freshman Lawrence Toafili, Ja'Kai Douglas, and Corey Wren at running back. And some of those guys are going to have to step up.
It definitely sucks because, I mean, we've been seeing the work he's been putting in all offseason, and everyone kind of expected him to be focused and locked in, prepared for the season. And it's definitely disappointing to see him not be a part of the program anymore.
Who do y'all have as kind of like that depth chart? Obviously, Dustin just named off some guys, but who is that number 2, number 3 guy for you guys going into week 1?
I have Corbin number 1, Webb number 2, and then it'll be a mixture of the three freshmen, and depending on what the offense is. I do think that Douglas will probably play a lot more running back than that kind of hybrid role. I'm a fan of Toafili. I think he fits the offense very well. But Corbin's got to stay healthy now. He's the one guy who has Division I carries at this level. So, and for him to garner some all conference 4th team hype tells you that this kid's not, he's a good player. He did really well at A&M, so he's got to stay healthy. But I definitely think it's Corbin and Webb, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Nate. I think Corbin and Webb are your 1 and 2. I think Toafili will probably lock down the 3 spot for the most part. He's the most complete running back of those 3 true freshmen coming into Florida State. But you should also see some Corey Wren and Ja'Kai Douglas and different kind of packages depending on what Norvell's trying to do. Corey Wren especially, getting him screen passes like Nate said earlier before the podcast, and throwing it to him out of the backfield, putting him in situations like that for success. That's where he'll be used.
And, Khalan Laborn obviously had to compete with Cam Akers, and Cam Akers is going to go down as one of, top 5 running backs in Florida State history, and what he had to do with saving games. But right off the bat, too, with having to play, under Jimbo Fisher, and, his mom really wanted him to stay near Virginia, stay near home, and she was kind of ticked off. From what she told me, that he went to Tallahassee, and she had a really bad relationship and was really pissed off at Jimbo for Khalan not getting a lot of reps early on. And like Nate said, there was things that, was kind of causing himself to put him into these situations of not getting the reps. We heard things of him flashing during spring practice or during the camps before the season started, but never really got to see him stay in the game as much. The highlight will probably be his spring game. I saw a hole and I hit that bit, and then also the one play where he juked the crap out of that Virginia Tech player. We're like, okay, I want to see more Khalan Laborn, but never really got to see much more of him. So it's a sticky situation, and it's tough. Florida State does lose a 5-star running back, but luckily Mike Norvell prepared, and that's what a smart coach does. And it seems like he prepared well enough to if this day were to come, and it wouldn't be a brutal hit. So
the talent's there. The injury set him back, but at the end of the day, when you're a turd, that will hold you back when you get to that level. When you are a shithead, that keeps you from producing and being a guy who can be relied upon from these coaches. So look in the mirror before you make your next stop, buddy.
And one just last little tidbit. I was hearing just this last Friday that he was feeling great. He enjoyed being around the staff. He was 100% and wasn't going to wear his brace. So whenever the news popped today, I was a little kind of in shock there, because I thought things mentally, he was kind of tunnel visioned into the new staff, and there was a lot of optimism there. But things like something must have either happened over the weekend, or there must have been some kind of decision that might have been lingering for a while. I don't know. But I think he had a lot more friends outside of the program than he did inside of the program with his own teammates. So that's pretty much all I'll say on that front. But I wish him the best. I've had contact with him and whatnot, but I wish him the best. Like, I think he really is a talented guy. Just a few things he's got to switch up there in the head. Tamarion Terry, he's just going to keep on gaining pounds until he's a tight end. He could play linebacker too if he really wanted to soon. I mean, that's about the size of the linebackers FSU has had the last couple of seasons. But Tamarion Terry, I'm told, is up to 222 pounds. Obviously, the Discord was blowing up about it today. They're trying to figure out if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Obviously, I mean, I think he's going to lose weight obviously once the season starts, but 222, and he looks good too, Nate. I think he looks good, but I want him to keep that speed. I want him to keep that, because whenever you add on pads and everything, he's gonna be weighing quite a bit.
My whole thing is if he can maintain what makes him Tamarion Terry, which is the elusiveness and the speed. A guy who's 6'4" and can separate like that after the catch. As long as he can keep that, it's great. I don't ever think it was bad weight. I just want to see how he can perform with an additional 10 pounds. He's at least 10 pounds more than last year. And granted, he'll probably drop 5 to 8 pounds in camp and probably be at 215, which I think is a good spot for him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 215 for Tamarion Terry is basically perfect. 6'4", 215, burners on the outside. He spent a lot of this offseason trying to become more of a complete wide receiver, which is something I think we'll see be displayed in Norvell's offense. And I'm looking forward to seeing him. I mean, you can tell just by the fact that he's now up to 222 pounds and seeing the pictures that basically none of it's bad weight. He's been working this offseason. He's got something to prove. He came back for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the other two have been saying, as long as he doesn't lose his speed, because he's got legit 4.3 speed, honestly. As long as he's still got that, then he can keep gaining weight.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy running 23 miles an hour in pads is just asinine. What he did in that bowl game. So I just want him to – he's got to be the player that he was. FSU needs that. So that's my only concern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think one thing, and then we were talking about it, Nate, just a little bit ago too, in the producer meeting, just talking about, we really like Terry as a player, but it seems like he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders too. He's focused, and he's competitive. But he comes back for another year along with Marvin Wilson, and he's going to be the biggest leader. He should be right there if Blackman's going to be started. He should be the biggest leader on that offense by far. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be challenged a lot. It's going to take Keyshawn Helton and then other guys outside of him, maybe Matthews, Young, Thompson, Brian Robinson, to kind of maybe allow Terry to get out there a little bit more. But teams already know about him a lot, definitely in the ACC, but he's going to have a lot of coverage on him this upcoming season, a lot. Let's see. Kimo Mekinole. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Commits to Florida State after Jake Slaughter flips from Florida State to Florida. Nate, you've been in contact with Jake. What led to that?
The fact that
Jake flipping, and then I guess we can get to McEnroe.
I mean, he was and always has been a Florida fan. When I first talked to him when he got offered, his dad was, as big as we are Florida State fans, his family are Florida fans. So I think some of it, I think he kind of always knew that if the offer came, that it was something he would consider. I think that it's just his fandom kind of outweighed the relationships that he had formed with Florida State. So I don't think it's any ill will or anything negative. I think it was just a lifelong dream that he had a opportunity to fulfill. So can't hate on the kid. He's a great kid. I wish him luck except for one game a year. But, Florida State has had a plan. I think that the offer for Estes was always the backup once Florida offered him. Him being Estes is a guy who can play center guard or right tackle. So I think that they started to cover their tail when that offer came through, knowing that something may happen. But it happened. I'm glad it happened now and not, 2, 3, 4 months on the road. So I expected it when the offer came. That's why I always stayed in contact with him, how he was doing and how his commitment was. He kept telling me, things were fine, but it was eventually going to happen at some point.
And obviously, Coach Atkins immediately, I think he's getting a lot of love right now from FSU fans. He immediately was getting on the phone and getting in contact, and obviously was able to land someone really quickly to try to fulfill an offensive line unit after losing Slaughter. But Kimo, and you've had a chance to talk with him too, right?
Yes.
And what do you think of him? And is he a guy that you got to develop, or is this a guy that has the potential if he builds up physically, he could be a guy that starts for a few years in Tallahassee?
I think he's a guy who's definitely a redshirt candidate. He's very young. He's only 16 years old. I believe he's going to graduate at 17. So he's a young kid who's still very much growing into his body. I know some people are questioning his size and how lean he is. He purposefully does not want to be one of those big, hefty linemen. If you look at what happened in the draft this year, a lot of the guys drafted this year were that 6'4", 6'5", 6'8", but they were still in the 300, 305 range. So that old days of 6'4", 330 are going away a little bit, and I think a lot of these kids are starting to realize that. And also the impact it has on their health long term, which is what we've talked about. He doesn't want to be a massive kid. He does want to, of course, get bigger, but he wants to do that when he gets into college and let a strength program add the weight that he needs to add and how they want to add it. And his family, we've talked about it in the Discord about his family is massive. Most of the men in his family are 6'8", 6'9". Just huge guys. So he's going to continue to grow. Excuse me, but he's definitely a kid that's going to play redshirt and be a more of a redshirt sophomore contributor. I do think he's someone that can help the team down the road. He's just really nasty. He's a mean offensive lineman, which is what FSU needs. He's a guy that when he gets his hands on you, it's over with. So. He is a project, but he has a lot of traits that will that bode well for the next level.
When I think mean, and if he gets a hand on you, it's going to be over. I think of Dante Lucas and how physical he is, and how obviously you kind of want to bring those guys in, because I'll be honest, I feel like the last couple of seasons, and I think a lot of fans will agree with me, is it's like patty cake out there after a while. They can hardly develop to even hold on to a guy and block him. But Dante Lucas is a guy that's got the mentality to just hurt you and just be mean up there. Florida State's had good defensive linemen, and they're disgusting and mean, but it's a whole 180 from. Absolutely. And I think we were hearing rumors last offseason that the offensive line was like beating the defensive line in practice. I don't know whoever was saying those things, but now thinking of it, that is the most stupidest thing that we were hearing. I'm sure it was coming from offensive line players spreading rumors about it, but I don't think Marvin Wilson was having a tough time with Juan Williams. I'll be honest.
No, I went to IMG for the practices when they were down here, and watching Dante Lucas be the leader of that team and yelling at the guys for being soft, kind of said, "There's no way that happened." I'm sorry. You got guys who were letting the damn sled beat them. And you got Dante Lucas screaming at him and cussing him out to toughen up. There's just no way. I don't buy that. No.
That's
why I think it was the fall of 2018 where Eberle said the offense was scoring nonstop against the defense, like just scoring at will.
And he
How'd
also
that
said
go?
it was going to be one of the best offensive line in the country.
Well, how bad was the defense though too? So it possibly could have happened. You know how poorly coached that whole team was. There were probably guys out of position, and who knows? You know, those practices from watching a few at IMG were just a cluster. So I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
In that form, but I doubt that. Like you said, Marvin Austin's getting blown off the ball by, Bavion Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Let's see some quick notes here too. I believe Eddie Goldman is going to be sitting out. Former Knoll, obviously a really good defensive lineman for FSU. Former Knoll, and obviously has been kind of doing pretty good there in Chicago. Also, he's going to check out for this season, opting out due to this COVID thing. So he will not be playing this upcoming season. Just announced now, Dalvin Cook has been checked in as a 21st best player in the NFL 100. I think that's pretty good for him. I think that's a very nice ranking in my opinion for him. After sometimes he'll sit out during games, but I think he proved last year how friggin' good he is. And Austin, you're a Vikings fan. Your boy's up there at number 21. How does that feel? You actually have a Vikings player up there.
Yeah, no, especially because Harrison Smith was like 64th. I'm like, oh god, the players hate us. But to see Dalvin up there, he's got a lot of respect from the players, which is good to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he, I believe, checked into camp too today. So I know he was kind of holding out, wanting to get paid, and I think eventually he's most certainly going to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's some quick little notes football wise there.
Well, was Derwin on that list? I know he's coming off the injury, so probably not. But
yeah, I don't think so. I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think he's been on there yet, just because he didn't play that much last year. But I know the players have.
Yeah, he hasn't been on there yet.
He's in a ball this year.
Yeah, most certainly.
As long as he stays healthy, which that's the big thing with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great to see Dalvin on there. 2 years removed from that ACL injury.
Yeah.
People forget about that. He tore his ACL 4 games in, and last year he dealt with the hamstring issue again. This past year he balled out. I think he had like 1,600 scrimmage yards.
Yeah, he was leading the NFL in rushing for consistently through weeks after weeks after weeks. So,
that horrible offensive line caught up to him.
Yeah, and he started getting hurt towards the end. I think he had a shoulder injury in week 16, and I think he sat out week 17.
You ever think Dalvin's got to somehow get bigger in his base? He's really big up top, but his legs are kind of skinny.
Yeah.
But he generates power for a guy who isn't that big in his legs.
Yeah, he runs with so much strength for someone that's as small. Like, I'm not saying small, but yeah, he doesn't have as much leg strength as a lot of these other running backs. So, like, you see Saquon Barkley's got logs for legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If he was to get some of that lower body strength, it would certainly help him, especially those knees and hamstrings.
I'm happy for him. I love Dalvin Cook, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm really hoping he gets this bag this offseason. I'm assuming he'll get paid at some point. I know he get checked in because the CBA is basically worthless at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. I'm assuming he'll get paid, especially with Derrick Henry just got paid a couple weeks ago. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a similar contract to that.
Yeah, he's a better running back by 10 times than Derrick Henry. So that's all I got to say. I don't want to argue with anybody else about it. And I don't give a damn about Saquon Barkley either. So we can argue about that all day long with other people, but Dalvin's just a different kind of animal. He's just a pure good running back, just nasty. And I think also if he does get paid good, it's good for Florida State recruiting wise, big time. Florida State should already be promoting that they've had stud running backs play in the NFL for a consistent amount of years. They should be advertising that more, but I don't work for Florida State recruiting. So let's see. Let's jump into some basketball, Austin. Obviously, there's some big news, hopefully, for tomorrow, Florida State's wise, and Leonard Hamilton. This is getting ridiculous now. This is silliness, but possibly 4-star center John Butler is going to be committing tomorrow. We're recording this on Tuesday, so it's going to be happening on Wednesday. Florida State is a favorite over South Carolina and others. What's going on with that?
Yeah, it's a pretty big summer on the trail so far. They just picked up 5-star Matthew Cleveland last week. It's looking very likely they're going to pick up John Butler tomorrow. top 60 center from Greenville, South Carolina. Right now, I think it's coming down to Florida State and South Carolina. He just announced his top 6 last week, which included Florida State, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, and Alabama. Judging by his edit, it was definitely not going to be Georgia Tech and Alabama. I kind of expected it to be South Carolina at first, especially because his high school is 90 miles away from South Carolina's campus. Both of his parents moved to South Carolina. But then the weekend passed, crystal balls and Futurecast started flying in from Florida State. I was getting a lot of texts, a lot of DMs saying, I think John Butler's happening. And it's looking more and more likely. It's looking very, very good. Florida State's rolling. They've got the number 1 and possibly the number 2 player in South Carolina when Butler commits tomorrow. And they're going to be the top 2 class. Not quite the best class in the nation so far for 2021, but at least the second best class, which is unbelievable. Handball is
barely behind Villanova. We'll have 4 commits to FSU.
0.4 points. Yeah.
But they'll have the best average. I think that's what matters.
Yeah, they're going to have the best average because one of Villanova's commits is a 3-star. A very highly ranked 3-star, don't get me wrong, but he's still a 3-star. Right now, all of Florida State's commits, assuming Butler commits tomorrow, is going to be top 60. And I believe both McGowan's and Cleveland are going to be top 25 prospects by the time it's all said and done.
Yep. There's still 2 or 3 more spots to add more guys, and there's some other talented guys that have FSU
I'm projecting 3 to 4 because you've got 5 seniors. You've got potentially 2 professional prospects with Scotty Barnes and Sartor Calhoun. Calhoun's more of the wild card. I'm fully expecting Barnes to be one and done, but we'll see how the season goes. So you still got 3 to 4 more prospects, and they're still after some really big fish. Michael Foster is a 5-star. Ryan Mutombo, who's another top 60 guy. There's definitely after some big fish, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens over these next couple months, because right now Florida State is on an absolute tear on the trail.
So if Butler does join the class, and obviously there's Mutombo down the line, who you just mentioned, are we still considering Naheem McLeod a member of this class?
Yeah, I've reached out to a few people to see if they've heard anything. My guess is with their pursuits of Butler and then still with Mutombo, and Efton Reed's still in the consideration too. A lot of people are starting to forget about him because he was a potential reclassification, and now it's looking like he's staying in 21. But they're still after these 2 major centers. I think Butler may be able to play a little bit of the 4. He's got that kind of skill set where he's got that Porzingis mold where he's got the center body but the skill set of a 4. So maybe they're viewing him as a 4 and they still want to keep McLeod. But if Mutombo or Reed commits, I'd be shocked, honestly, to see McLeod stay in the class.
Moving on from that, obviously, everybody keep an eye on John Butler committing tomorrow. We'll have full coverage on that. And if it does indeed be true that he's going to pick Leonard Hamilton and the Knowles, Austin will have a piece ready for you guys to kind of describe and put down what he might mean to this team and everything and the attributes that he'll bring. Also, some news here that happened today. Former Knoll, we've had all 3 of them on the podcast, which is crazy to think of, thanks to Austin. But Trent Forrest, Patrick Williams, and Devin Vassell have all earned invitations to the NBA Combine. Congratulations to them. We're definitely pulling for them. We got to actually get to know them through here on interviews. But some really cool news, and I'm really happy. You know, Nate, with me and Nate, you know, we like basketball a lot, but I love Trent Forrest, man. It's so fun. It was so fun to watch him during his career. But he gets an invite too,
which is huge because I mean, for usually these senior guys, like we saw it with Terrence Mann last year, they usually go to the Portsmouth Invitational. If you do well there, you get an NBA G League Combine invite, and then if you're one of the top 10 players there, then you get the NBA Combine invite. The fact that all these NBA teams have said we want to see Trent Forrest, that's huge for him. He doesn't have to go through the Portsmouth Invitational, which got canceled, which I was really concerned with. He gets to go to the NBA Combine. I really think he's going to do a really great job there. Patrick Williams is going to freaking blow up the Combine. He's got some of the best athleticism in the entire class, especially he's still 18 years old. By the time the Combine happens, he'll be 19, but he's going to blow up the Combine. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he ends up being a lottery pick after the Combine, just with his shooting skill. He didn't really show it off much last year. You could see he had it. He was just a little inconsistent with it. He's had all this time to work on a shot. really think he's going to show it off at the combine and in those scrimmages. Vassell, I wouldn't be surprised if he's had a few out. He's really seen his stock rise these past couple months. At one point, he was just a top 15 to 20 guy. Now he's almost a lock to be top 10. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just says, you know what, my stock's good. I'm going to stick with my top 10 and see what happens.
I think Trent Forrest is someone that could have a 10 to 12 year career in the NBA. You know, I'm a big fan of his, so I'm really happy to see him get some recognition.
All right, so if you guys are ready, let's jump into some of these questions. I think we got like 45 plus. So, and Instagram's still rolling in with questions, so we might not go to bed tonight. I don't think that, and Dustin doesn't go to bed until 4 a.m., so if it's just me and him on here, then that's just how it's going to have to be.
And I like the spotlight. So, hey.
You do like the spotlight. You know, your clout, although you haven't done your follow for follows thing in a while, and your clout is kind of going down.
Yeah.
Lazy. I thought you said you weren't lazy.
It's day by day.
You know, and I don't like to really defend him, but in his defense, there's not a lot of follow the follows right now either, though.
True. There you go. That was nice of Nate to be looking out for Dustin like that.
It's rare.
I enjoy having Nate around sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I heard sometimes in there, even though he can't talk loud enough into his mic. I think I heard sometimes. All right, let's get started. We're going to start off with, I think, Discord first. If you're in the Discord, then thank you for sending all these questions. We're about to get started here. So this is from Coach Jenkins 8. Asks, or pretty much says, predict the starting 5 up front and backups.
I'll go.
You got it.
I got Washington at left tackle, Lucas at left guard. I think that Bavion starts at center. I think Love Taylor's your right guard and Scott's your right tackle. I preferably would love to see Maurice Smith take that center spot, but I see him as Baselli as the backup in the middle, with Smith being either one of the guards. I do think Herring. He was slated to start in spring with Lucas out. I do think that you'll see him play at one of the guard positions, and I would like to see. I'm interested to see what Ira Henry does. You know, he's a guy who could contribute very, very well to this team, and they kind of need him to. I do think that Love Taylor would be the backup tackle. You know, right now there's just so many questions at tackle that if Washington and or Scott went down, you might as well blow the season up. There's really no solid backups. I don't really have faith in a Chaz Neal or a Jalen Gross right now.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Nate's take. I think Darius Washington at left tackle, Lucas left guard, Johnson at center. I've got Brady Scott at right guard and Love Taylor at right tackle, but, I mean, they're pretty interchangeable. We'll see what happens in fall camp. And then behind them, left to right, I've got Jalen Goss at left tackle, who, like Nate said, don't really have a lot of confidence with him stepping in there. So you're really counting on Darius Washington to play the important snaps. But Goss and I guess Jay Williams will fight for the backup snaps. And Maurice Smith, I've got him at backup left guard with Baselli at center. But I do think Maurice Smith is likely your starting center of the future next year, because that's a position he can play. So for now, Ira Henry at right guard, and like you said, Herring can play there as well, and then Chaz Neal at right tackle. So could be a solid offensive line. We'll just have to see. I'm confident in what Atkins brings to the table.
Yeah.
Moving on, this is from Jacob on Discord. He says, do we think we will take another center if we land John? So I don't know who the last name of John is, but Nate or Dustin probably know that.
It's Butler.
John
so
Butler.
It's actually
John
a basketball
Butler.
question.
Yeah, it's a basketball question.
Yeah, so we touched on it when we talked in the basketball piece. I still think they're planning on taking another center. Because like I said, he's got the skill set of a 4. It wouldn't surprise me to see him play some there and add another true 5 like a Mutombo or an Efton Reed.
This next question is from Fiddle on Discord. Any idea when we will begin at West Virginia practice, or is the timeline still pretty much in the air?
I can take it. I mean, personally, Florida State has likely been doing West Virginia prep since Mike Norvell arrived, and that'll only continue as we move into fall camp. It'll become more advanced, especially now that West Virginia has made that switch at defensive coordinator. I think they'll focus on that even more so.
Yeah, and things are still up in the air from what I've heard. That players and even some of the staff, they don't know when they're going to put pads on and stuff. It's just such a crazy offseason. So whenever things start getting solidified, and like Dustin said, I mean, frick, West Virginia is in a complete shit show right now, honestly, defensively, and what they're going to figure out. They're going to have friggin' players calling plays out there.
Said this before, though, so slow down.
Well, yeah, I mean, but, just looking at the West Virginia game, Florida State probably really wants to play this game now. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, press been going on for a while. I don't think the game happens, though.
Don't be Debbie Downer. Stop it. Stop it right now. Next question is from Gino. Asks, with the way Fuller's defense operates, he plays at base nickel, in parentheses, 5 DBs, and played 3 safeties at a time at Memphis. If Jaden Woodby stays at inside linebacker and Dent moves to cornerback, who would be the 3 safeties? I count on Ham and possibly Fagan, but curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
So Woodby's not an inside. He's not a linebacker. He may play that hybrid role, but I think you look at Nas. I think you look at Woodby, and then my wild card is Jones to transfer, and also Renardo Green. I think that's kind of your 2 deep. I think Fagan kind of gets passed up by guys who I think are just better players. So there's a lot of flexibility back there. You have a guy like Travis Jay that you got to get your best players on the field at some point. You got to find a place for Jay. You think what Fuller does. There's a question later on about how FSU's defense can improve, but I think you have a solid 2 deep with Nas, Woodby, Green, Fagan, Jones. It's going to be a mix and match, and then you throw in Carlos Becker. I know he was playing corner in spring. If he moves back to safety, I think that's someone that takes some minutes also.
Yeah, and when they go to that nickel lineup, it wouldn't surprise me to see Fuller try to get his 5 best DBs on the field at one time, which is probably Asante Samuel, Miko Dotson, Dent, Hamza, and Woodby.
Yep.
This next question is from TJ43. Asks, what will be the difference with Blackman versus the last staff? I think all of us realize he'll be the starter.
I haven't realized he's going to be a starter yet.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll let Nate start.
I think that you'll look at one. I think he's going to be better coached. He's. I'm not the biggest Blackman fan. I'll say it like it is. I think you see what you get with him over the last 3 years. Yeah, he's had different coaches, and there's been a lot of other things that have gone sideways with his career with stability and having a consistent scheme. But I don't think he really fits Norvell's system very well in terms of accuracy and having to get the ball out quickly. So I'm not the biggest Blackman fan. So I will just say I think that he'll be better coached with Norvell and with Dillingham and what they like to do in the offense. I think Norvell will do a better job if he is the guy scheming his offense to help him. But that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think the cohesion between the coaching staff will definitely be a plus for Blackman. Obviously, Norvell and Dillingham have worked together. They've got great chemistry, and they call plays together, essentially. Whereas the last 2 years, Willie Taggart and Walt Bell couldn't figure it out. Willie Taggart and Kendall Briles couldn't figure it out last year. There's a lot of arguing with play calling and the right way to go with things, and that's going to be different with the staff, and that should help Blackman. There's not going to be a lot of pulling in different directions. He'll be able to do his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think definitely this last staff, having Hornibrook in there with the left-handed quarterback, and then you throw in Blackman in there, and then one takes a good drive, and then you throw in the other one. It was just a complete utter chaos of just stupidity, I think. I mean, that should not already be happening at Florida State, but that's a situation at hand. But there's definitely things Blackman has to fix, like Nate said. There's a lot of things mentally, I think, more than anything. There might be confidence factors, too. I think he kind of screws his own self up with his head mentally in situations where, little short throws, definitely against a Virginia game. I mean, those throws are about as easy as it gets. Something's going on in his head, and things weren't working out well. But the thing, like Dustin said, the chemistry between Norvell and Dillingham, I think, is going to play a good factor because these guys have worked with one another before. Dillingham has talked about it in press conferences, saying, sometimes if we don't agree on something, then we'll figure it out on the back end. We'll figure it out internally, and we'll get to a better we'll figure out the situation, make it better for the players and everything. And it doesn't need to always be public and things going crazy. They'll work on making it the best for the players. So I think the chemistry between Dillingham and Norvell will at least help James Blackman grow for sure.
I mean, in 2019, the coaching was terrible and the offensive line was worse. So it can only go up for Blackman from here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny that he's had really poor coaching, a really poor offensive line, but some of that offensive line play is some of his fault, and some of those hits he's taken is some of his fault. Same thing with DeAndre Francois holding the ball longer, not making the right decisions. Not everything is on the offensive line. I just not a fan.
I personally think Blackman would have been a guy that would have benefited from having the opportunity to redshirt during his true freshman season. He got thrown into the fire.
Absolutely.
And it's been kind of tough for him ever since. If he would have got that developmental year, and like Francois would have went down with the injury, I think he might be a completely different quarterback right now. But yeah, like you said, he's got a lot of things to clean up in his game. And I mean, Norvell is a quarterback developer, so hopefully he can get the best out of James Blackman. And if not, he's got Chubba Purdy right behind him. So.
Next question is from P. Maggi on Discord. Asks, who do you all think will be the starting running back and why? So this, I think, was sent yesterday at 10:56. So obviously didn't get the Khalan Laborn news until today. But still, who do you think will be the starting running back and why? I think, he was thinking Khalan Laborn and Corbin, but I think an easy answer is Corbin.
Yeah, I'd say Corbin, but a lot of different guys are going to get carries. Corbin's not going to just dominate the carries like we've seen guys like Cam Akers and Dalvin Cook do within the offense throughout their careers. This is going to be a very, very balanced between guys.
Now, when you look at what Norvell's done, he's done the workhorse, primary back, but he's also done it by committee. And I think this is right now a by committee unit. I don't think that I don't think that Corbin is head and shoulders above everyone else. I think he's a really good player, and I think he brings a lot of value, being already a Division I player. But I don't think that he is a guy who's going to be like you said, a Cam or Dalvin that's going to get 20-plus carries a game.
So next question is from ZB123 on Discord. Says, Chubba Purdy plays, what's the chance Chubba Purdy plays in ±8 games or starts in ±6 games? And some betting here.
You want to go first, Dustin, or you want me to go first?
Oh,
Dustin, switch it up.
Since you did the other one, I'll go first for this one. Because I know you're a big fan of Chubba, but I personally think Blackman is going to be the starter. So I'm going to say plays in 8. I'm going to say under because I don't think Florida State's going to blow out enough people, and starts under 6.
I think that Blackman's going to start game 1, and then we'll see what happens after that. I think there is some truth to the talk. The gossip, we'll call it the gossip of, Chubb has been doing a lot of install from the time he signed with the coaching staff, and there's some talk about him being in Florida with at some point doing some stuff to work with the team. But also, I do think that he signed with Florida State for a reason. I don't think that, I don't remember which podcast I said it on. I think that, he was identified by Norvell and Dillingham, and things happen so quickly. I don't think that he up and makes that switch without feeling that he can compete for the starting job very quickly. I do think that I think it's hard to say, the over-under on these because we don't know how many games FSU is going to play. I think 8 games out of 10 would be the majority. So I don't know yet. I don't think he plays. If he's a starter, which I think he ends up being a starter, I think that I'll call it a push at 8 games that he appears in. I'm calling push on both. I don't know yet. But I think that he ends up being the guy.
Next question is from Super Noel 2. Asks, what is the chance that we land Michael Foster? I think he should be a great addition to the 21 class with Matthew Cleveland and Bryce McGowan. So a basketball question here.
Yeah, right now it's kind of leaning towards G League. I know the staff is they feel confident that if he goes college, that Florida State's in as good a position as any, but they're not putting all of their eggs in the Michael Foster basket in case he does decide to go pro. I'm kind of leaning towards he's going pro right now. And if G League throws him fat offer, I wouldn't expect him to turn it down.
What do you think about guys like Cleveland or McGowan going that route?
McGowan's is one of those players where this is going to sound negative, but it's actually a positive statement. I feel like he's closer to his ceiling than a lot of these high-ranked players are. Mm-hmm. Cleveland's more of a guy where education really matters to that family. I know he wants to major in criminal justice. It's like he may be one of those 5 stars that stays for 2 or 3 years just because he loves the college lifestyle. I mean, he'll probably get a G League offer, but I fully expect him to stay in college.
This next question is from Rock18. This is a good one here. Flashback to the offseason after winning the national championship in 2013. Who do you hire at defensive coordinator to replace Jeremy Pruitt?
I got 3 guys, actually, who I put. If I could pick one guy, I'd pick Dave Aranda. I would look at Mike Elko and then Dave Womack. Womack did at Ole Miss. They had the number 1 defense in the country in 2014, and they were high up there in 2013. I think those 3 would have been where I would go.
I'd say Britt Venables, because you probably could have got him cheaper in 2013, and hey, you would have looked into something great about right now.
If we're going to look at it realistic, though, I think I would have rather gone with Odell than freaking Charles Kelly.
Yeah.
If we're going to promote from within, why pick the worst position coordinator?
Come on, you didn't like Third and Kelly?
God.
No.
So you can't really hate on Kelly in terms of what he did at his position.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Telvin and Terrence Smith were really good players, and even going back to some of those other guys. But, I mean, if we're choosing any of those guys, why him?
Because I don't know, man. I think that was more just having some
Jimbo's love,
having some carryover, and thinking that 2014 would be just as good as 13. Not trying to shake the boat too much, but that backfired.
This next question is from Luke Elmo 2323. Dustin, are you still watching Elmo?
Every now and then.
Okay. I was just making sure. He asks, who is the biggest missed recruit in FSU football history?
Are we looking at this as not knowing how they?
Probably. I think so.
You know how they end up.
I guess so. And it's hard to you could go different ways with it, but probably that they, maybe how they did at other colleges and.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple guys out there.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis. They didn't have room for him. Yeah, I think he was a Prop 48 possibility back then. I'm not sure, but he wanted to go to Florida State and ended up at Miami. So imagine having him in that linebacker, chain of that whole dynasty time. That would have just been ridiculous. You look at a couple other guys, Callahan Bright. He had all-world potential as a defensive tackle. Deshaun Platt from my hometown area was P-Dub reincarnated, but he was just a complete idiot in terms of having someone take the SAT for him and getting caught. And then, one guy who always intrigued me was Willie Downs. I think that he would have been very special at FSU.
I'm going to take it a completely different route with revisionist history. I remember both Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown wanted to come to Florida State. Rodgers wanted to come play for Bobby Bowden, wanted to be a part of that, and Bobby was like, no, we're good. And then Antonio Brown was just stupid, like he still is. He couldn't get into the school. But
Aaron Rodgers was like 5'10", 160 pounds in high school.
Yeah, I know. And even this was out of JUCO. Out of JUCO, he wanted to come to Florida State. And then he'd grown a little bit. I think he was up to 6'1", 6'2" by then.
Yeah.
And now looking at it, you're like, man, could have had him instead of freaking Xavier Lee.
Yeah, and Joe Mauer signed with Florida State out of high school as a 5-star quarterback, and then ended up going to MLB.
I've got a signed football by Joe Mauer that says "Go FSU" on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what he could have been?
He still really loves Florida State. It's cool to see, but I mean, obviously, when you're the 4th pick in the draft or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
To play for your hometown team, there's no brainer in that one.
Good to pull Kyler Murray.
This next question comes from Nate Greer on Discord. Asks, how come Dustin is such a pudwhacker?
I'll take this one.
You gonna take it or no, Dustin?
I'm just kidding. I don't have an answer.
As usual, no answer from Dustin. Let's see. That is why he's such a pudwhacker. That's the answer. This next question is from Shrimpton4. A lot of new people in here in Discord. Let's see. If the season is canceled or severely impacted before National Signing Day 2021, how does that affect each of the big three? My assumption is that it benefits Miami significantly and hampers FSU the most.
I think he answered his own question.
Yeah, your assumption is correct.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that whole South Florida area is always talented. And I think that I've been saying it. I think I said it on a podcast here. Been saying it on Twitter. I think that you're going to see a lot of these kids start to stay home, at least a lot more regional. With the virus and a lot of uncertainty of what's going on outside of the world of sports, and the impact it's having on families financially and jobs and all that kind of stuff. So it's right for the taking for Miami to keep all those kids at home. Not having a season and watching Manny Diaz and his staff fumble and blunder around because of such shitty coaches would be extremely beneficial for Miami. I think Florida State needs a season to show some progress. They needed spring, they needed the camp season, they needed all that to kind of show the vision and prove what they're saying. So I think if a season is canceled and delayed or whatnot, I think that it's going to really hurt Florida State in terms of not being able to sell the turnaround. Where Florida's coming off 2 back-to-back 10-win seasons. We all know that Dan Mullen can't recruit for Jack. They're going to continue to take highly ranked, shitty character kids they'll continue to do that. So, Miami's going to definitely benefit by all those kids staying home.
They're already benefiting because
Yep.
they landed James Williams
Yep.
out of really nowhere. It felt like it seemed like he was Georgia bound forever.
Mm-hmm.
Just last week, and then also 4-star running back Thaddeus Franklin officially shut down his recruitment, and I believe they got another receiver as well. So
Yeah,
Miami,
they got Bernard Smith.
Miami rolling right now on the recruiting trail. They've got 21 commits.
Yep.
It's not even August.
And it is what it is. It's great you get the guys in there, but until Manny Diaz can show that he can coach, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, they've been decommit you for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I will give him props. James Williams, the best safety in Florida since Derwin. He's a really good player. But I'm not as high on the Palmetto kids as others. I think they've kind of leveled out in terms of ability. But Taylor is definitely the best of that group. But you look at when a school has a lot of highly ranked kids, it's always the lower tier kids that do better in college. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think a guy like Edwards, who's defensive back there, that's kind of not being recruited very heavily in state, could be a guy that goes somewhere and blows up. And I use the Levante David example. Went to Nebraska, wasn't very highly rated or recruited on that Northwestern team, and turns out to be the best of that whole group. So, you just don't know how things are going to work out. But long story short, yes, Miami will be hugely impacted by COVID.
This next question is from Ed Kennedy via mod here on the Discord. He asked, what is the most overrated restaurant in Tallahassee that is a staple for the city, and why is it overrated?
I said Gordo's because the food's horrible. I just don't.
There goes the Gordo sponsorship.
Yeah, let's say if Gordo's, if you're listening or you're about to sponsor us, that's Nate.
Yeah.
Greer.
So
does.
I don't live in Tallahassee, I do visit Tallahassee. I'm not a fan of your food. That's not to say that you would be a great sponsor, but the food is horrible.
Way to save it.
It is not worth the hype.
I would have to say Hobbit, honestly, because I don't really think it's that good, and it is ridiculously overpriced. I mean, dude, I go in there, I get a burger, 10 wings, the fries that come with my damn meal, and a drink, and it's like $45.
Jesus, that's a damn meal. You're getting 10 wings and a burger.
It's $45.
That's ridiculous.
I mean,
if I get corn nuggets, it's suddenly 60.
Who actually eats corn nuggets?
Dustin Lewis.
Man, no wonder
known this
you're
man
weird.
for no.
I didn't even mention the pretzel bites. I guess. Yeah.
Pretzel bites. Jesus, that's $100 tab.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
That is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
I'd forgotten about Hobbit, but I completely agree with they're way overrated. Everyone wants to go to Hobbit when they get into town. I'm like, why? It's horrible. There's so many better wing places in Tallahassee. Like Florida,
like $13 for 10 wings.
Florida Wing Factory is the best wings in Tallahassee. And don't get me started on that. But since he took Hobbit, and Nate took Gordo's, I mean, like, what's left? Are we counting Gumby's as a staple? Is that still a staple anymore?
No.
That was a staple when my parents were there. And that was the 90s.
Yeah, no, I think you can.
Honestly, I'm gonna go Jim and Milt's, and that's a very bold claim.
No,
come after you big time.
But I think there's quite a few better barbecue restaurants in Tallahassee than Jim and Milt's, and I apologize to them because great restaurant, great people, but food's all right.
You just stabbed Dustin in the stomach, and he's bleeding out in front of our own eyes.
I have my webcam on right now. My mouth would just be
Well, thank God it's not on. We don't really want to see it, but wow, yeah, no, that's tough.
Shocker.
Since I kind of do the management and try to get sponsorships and stuff, I'm not even going to say a name. I just really would love to have a sponsorship. So I'll go eat wherever you want me to eat, and I will love it, and I'll talk really, really good things about it a lot.
Unless it's that Island Wing Company, because that place is trash.
Oh my gosh, great. I was about to DM them tomorrow. Thanks a lot.
I don't want them to sponsor us.
Oh my Lord. I wouldn't call it a staple here, but they do have good baked wings. But probably not as good as Nate's.
Sauce and take it somewhere else.
You picked the wrong wings, and you had a burger at a wing place.
Bro, they baked their fries. They were disgusting. I got a burger and wings to try it out, and it was all bad. The sweet tea, trash.
Okay, yeah, I know. Me and you like our sweet teas, and we go to Sonny's like every time we meet up.
Do you remember how bad it was?
It was tough.
I can taste it right.
I had a beer though.
Go to Bojangles for sweet tea, man.
I've never had.
I got
Bojangles, man. Bojangles.
Logan offered to pay for Island Wing Company, which was a terrible decision. I should have just bought my own meal.
How'd you grow up? All right, next question. We got way more to go. Let's get going here. Let's see. This is another one from Ed Kennedy. Which would you rather have? Recruits being allowed to return to campus effective September 1st, but early signing day remains as scheduled, or outright restrict official visit nationwide through National Signing Day, but they eliminate early signing day? Holy shit, that's a lot to kind of mentally get down.
I would much rather.
Dustin's about to have an aneurysm.
I'd much rather the visits be delayed and postpone early signing day. I think that a lot of coaches would probably agree with that because they really haven't had the time to get kids on campus and kind of really bolster and form those relationships. That's just my take on it.
Next question is from Big Guard University. Says, part 2 of Ed's question, what's the most underrated food in Tallahassee?
Jim and Mills.
Okay, okay. Florida Wing Factory, hands down. It's kind of like on the outskirts of Tallahassee. It's like 30 minutes from campus, 25 minutes from campus, but it's absolutely worth it.
Ones.
They've got that express location that's not too far from campus, but yeah, Florida Wing Factory, hands down.
You get the boneless wings or the bone-in wing?
Boneless wings are chicken nuggets with flavor.
Mm-hmm, thank you.
Thank you.
Boneless wings are phenomenal. Okay.
Stop.
I'm not saying they're bad.
Cakes.
I'm not saying they're bad, but they're not wings.
Well, wings aren't wings either.
Bone ends. We'll get into a whole argument about this for at least 10 minutes. It's about to unravel real quick. Underrated food? I think every restaurant in Tallahassee is underrated. That's why I think you should sponsor this podcast at Hear the Spear. You can email me Logan at noelgameday.com. I think your restaurant, if you're listening, I think your restaurant is widely underrated, and we're going to get it out there in front of thousands and thousands of people. Hit me up.
Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin's probably going to say the same thing.
I don't really have anything to say. I said Jim Mills.
Okay.
Bringing it back.
My dad would like that. My dad loved going to Jim and Mills, so that's why you and him will probably get along.
They have fair pricing and solid portions and great sweet tea. What more can you ask for?
True.
We are not fans of you, Austin.
I don't really have one, to be honest with you. Whenever I come to Tallahassee, I eat two things. I eat Whataburger, and I eat.
Choice.
I eat. I'm a big fan of mellow mushroom. I used to eat that all the time.
Oh, not Momo's? Oh, yeah. Come on.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Mellow mushroom's closed, buddy. So you better find a new spot.
So I've had Momo's once, and it was really good.
Momo's is incredible. You get the Bradley's Country Sausage on it.
And I always got to shut out Guthrie's, and nothing beats a gut box.
Oh, for sure.
A gut box. So,
but that is properly rated because it's elite.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I had to pick an underrated, I don't think Bojangles gets enough love, from my time of living in North Carolina. Nothing beats a fresh made biscuit chicken sandwich with some cheer wine.
Gonna disagree, but you know.
Mm.
You can disagree all you want, but you're wrong.
Whataburger bitches.
Wait, someone's in the back. Is that the wife?
That's the wife saying that Whataburger is the most underrated place in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
I'm right there. I mean, I love Whataburger.
It's definitely properly rated just because it is also elite.
Yes.
Whenever it doesn't take me 25 minutes to get through the drive-through, it's a great day.
Yeah.
Maybe if you wouldn't go through at 2 a.m.
You would think that'd be
That's the best time.
That's the prime time to go.
No, it's not. I went at 1:15 the other night, and I was 11th in line. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait it out.
You waited it out. You waited it out.
I don't have anything else to do. I was like, whatever.
You could be getting some
was damn
articles
good.
edited. Articles edited.
There's
Maybe.
I've done my job. Do yours and post them on time.
The articles and drafts would
Oh.
say otherwise.
I don't see any.
All
Looking
right,
good on my end. Oh wait.
Yeah, there is still one from Charleston.
There's one
Anyway,
in there.
yeah. Next question is from Bob Peer. Asks, any chance this is Odell's last season on staff? And we'll try to run through these kind of quickly here.
Yes.
There's
Everyone
definitely a
hates
chance.
Odell now.
They don't hate him. It's just he's getting a little up there.
It's time. I think mentally and physically,
Like Old Yeller.
it's time, man.
Yeah,
It's time.
I agree. I think this is. I didn't think it was going to be his last season, but we were talking about the follows earlier. I've been looking through Odell's follows whenever I do my follow the follows. He's just been following some pro fishermen, not even any recruits, just pro fishermen. I didn't want to put that out on Twitter, but
On the podcast.
He deserves a proper send off though.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he's wanted to go out with how FSU is. I think he wanted to leave it on a high note, but you can't really control that. So as much as I hate for Odell to leave FSU with how it is, it's just time to move on.
Next question is from P. Madge again. More food? What's y'all's favorite pizza spot in Tallahassee?
Momo's easy. End of debate.
Yeah, move on.
I would say Brooklyn Pizza is pretty solid.
Shut up. No.
Momo's is good. Brooklyn Pizza's pretty
Stop.
good. They're different. They ain't that different.
When I was in college and I'd go home to visit my parents, they would make me go to Momo's and pay for their own pizza and drive it 3 hours home to Jacksonville just so they could have Momo's. It's that good.
Good for them.
No, it's an elite spot. And you not saying Momo's makes me question your judgment.
You said Momo's, so I said Brooklyn Pizza. We can have different pizza spots enter this space. I also wanted to mention Gain Street Pies. It's pretty solid.
I hate this. I
had this new spot called Munchies.
What? You've had Munchies for a long while.
They've got the only deep dish pizza in Tallahassee.
That is a big deal.
The fact that you like deep dish says a lot about
I don't like deep dish. I'm just saying if you like deep dish, they've got it.
Are you advertising for them?
You might as well make lasagna.
They're not even a sponsor, Dustin.
Jesus.
I hit them up. I got to connect. I DoorDash that bit.
What's my favorite pizza spot in Tallahassee? Anyone that wants to sponsor us in pizza spot, they will be my favorite. They will be my
Except
favorite.
Papa
pizza
John's.
spot.
That's trash.
I'm willing to go the Papa John's route, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. This comes to the second question from Pmod J. Asks, why was Laborn removed from the team? Extracurricular activities? Is that what we can say?
Mm-hmm.
Take
So
that
if you want your answer, go on YouTube
Just
and
gave you the
Google the song "Mary Jane" by. Okay.
Go.
Oh man, yeah. There's your answer. Social Knoll 18. Never mind. You don't have a question. You're just talking in the chat. Cool. Who will be running back to? Yeah, thanks for being in the chat always. Again, P Mod Gay says, who will be running back 2 since Laborn is gone? I think we talked about this earlier, but I think a lot of us agreed that LaDamian Webb LaDamian Webb for me at least. That's my take.
Mine too.
No disagreements here.
Bob Peer asks, any expectations for Jordan Wilson to contribute this year? Dustin, you have your depth chart projections, and you put some stuff together. Who is going to be? Is Jordan Wilson going to put in some time this year, you think?
I've got him listed as a starter right now just because he's a veteran and has a lot of experience. But I think him and Cam McDonald will get a lot of time together because Norvell likes to run 2 tight end sets. And I think Wilson will be more of the blocker in those scenarios while McDonald will be going out for passes.
Yeah, I mean, Norvell runs 30% tight end, double tight end, so he's going to play a lot. There's a reason why he's coming to Florida State as a grad transfer. I do agree with Dustin that he's going to be. I think he won't necessarily be known for his catching passes. While I think he'll be someone that can, be a guy that catches 10 to 15 balls. He's definitely going to be an added piece in the run game and being a blocker.
Just to throw this out here before we move on to the Twitter questions, I just got an email confirmation from OnlyFans from Hi Tony Pierce. So I guess someone's got a OnlyFans of me. Just throwing that out there. I guess I now have an OnlyFans.
I did not need that bit of information.
Tony Pierce has set up an account for me supposedly, so I got to send in my email confirmation. So cool stuff there.
I'll subscribe.
Oh, God. All right, I should have never said anything. Twitter questions here from our followers. Let's see. First one comes from Heath, our big-time listener. Shout out to him. Says, has anyone heard anything about if Coach Atkins has reached out to Malachi Hayden, stud offensive tackle in high school, would be a stud interior guy opposite of Dante Lucas?
No. I think the main reason why is right now he's 6'2", 270. He's not the biggest guy. I think he's very, very similar to a couple other guys FSU has on the board that they have not offered. So while I think he could be someone that we'll see how he develops. If you watch his tape, he is a good player. He's from Tennessee. Not sure, he would be a tackle, so on the next level. And I think at 6'2", 270, you're looking at a center, not necessarily a guy that can play guard. He doesn't look like he's built like Aaron Donald, so he's jacked. He's very physically in shape. Doesn't have the longest arms, which you need for an offensive lineman that short. So I don't think right now he's someone that's on the board.
Next question comes from TWill_23. Says, hypothetically, if Trevor Lawrence opted out of the 2020 season, what percentage would you give Florida State to beat them?
15.
I was going to say 10.
What was it going to start off as? Never mind.
Oh, it was definitely 0. It was 0 with Trevor Lawrence, 10 without.
Like -50 with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
They will play Clemson 100 times with Trevor Lawrence and lose 100 times right now. And I hate saying that because I hate Clemson. I think Dabo Swinney's a douchebag, and I think he's got a lot of skeletons in his closet. They're going to all eventually fall out, a la Tiger Woods one day. Guys who preach the Bible and thumping of Jesus, my Savior, and behind the scenes is just a dirtbag. I hate those kind of guys, so I can't wait for them to fall off from grace. But right now, Florida State has no shot at beating Clemson. If they had no Trevor Lawrence, I think they would lose by 25 instead of 50.
All right, so let's move on to the Instagram questions. A lot of these are all over the place. So obviously the big one, I think we had multiple questions from Andy, Clayton, Swartz, Bush, Jake. A lot of questions.
I think you
here.
should start with Andy's question.
No. But yeah, just pretty much asking what happened with Laborn. We answered it earlier. So yeah, that one's over with. That was pretty much a majority of these Instagram ones. Let's see. I think Brittany's asking here, or Britt Newsom's asking, what game ever was FSU's worst game?
2006 Wake Forest.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any other argument?
Personally, yeah, I think there's one argument. 97 Sugar Bowl, losing to Florida for the national title.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal too. I mean, granted, that was.
I hated that. That physically is my worst game ever. I broke my toe kicking the ball.
Oh no!
Damn.
I'd like to toss 2016 Louisville in the ring.
Yep, and I would also like to toss a win in there. This last year's game against Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah.
Or that
What about-
Stanford game in 2018.
That was bad too. Even going back to the Boston College game, I think it was 2017.
35-3.
Oh
No, where it was pouring down rain. It was at home. It may have been 2018. It was pouring down rain. It was like 19-17. It was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. It wasn't like Florida State's worst game. I mean, it was a close game, but like just to brutally affect fans and definitely, I mean, my family was at the game in Atlanta, but having that kick six happen against them, I mean, that was, I mean, the timeline, I think that's when it just killed itself. FSU Twitter immediately kind of just went into a bathtub and kind of got the blades.
Dropped the toaster.
Yeah.
Well, Florida State is. I mean, you go to that game, and since then, it's been a shit show. You know,
Literally.
I think that was the
Michigan
Super Bowl
game
end.
of the season.
Yeah.
I just remember they like asked Roberto Aguayo about the kick six that happened against Alabama. He's like, "Oh, that would never happen against me. I'd make the tackle."
And he ends up tackling the wrong person.
Yes.
He tackled the wrong guy. Oh, Jesus. Let's don't even bring that up anymore. It's brutal. This next question is from Trent Whitten. Asks, how much does Blackman weigh now? I believe around 205, 210.
I'll say, if anyone knows, it's definitely Logan.
In the back of his head, bro. He knows that one.
Oh, yeah. We keep a close eye on Blackman. But, yeah, around 205, 210. He actually was... Never mind. No, they'll be a little bit more freaky if I know like how much weight he's gained every month. That sounds a little bit.
You already know. Just go ahead and say it. Just say it.
No, straight from the spring, they were giving him special little shakes, him and Gainer. But he at the start of spring he was over 200, so he might be around like that 210 now. We'll see.
What's his waist size now, Logan?
His waist size?
Yeah, got the measurements.
Go suck a ding dong. You know, there might be sponsors that want to sponsor, so I'm only limiting myself to 3 cuss words tonight. Let's see. This is from Dayton.Humphrey. How is the offensive line coming along?
Slowly. Next.
Can't get worse.
Next
I mean,
question.
it can, but
Yeah.
it can't.
Yeah, coming along. We had no spring to work with, so
They're there.
they're there. We think they're there.
They'll be improved, so they'll go from god awful to bad.
That's nice upgrade.
Yes.
Let's see. Chicano 2K14 asks, you confident in a season being played? Me,
not.
yes.
I am
50-50.
I am not.
It's different. Like, we're seeing it with the NBA. The NBA is able to do this bubble because you only need 25 to 30 people per team, and that's really stretching it. We're seeing it with the MLB now, where these guys are still having to travel, and the Marlins had 13 positive COVID cases the other day. 17, yeah. So it's impossible to do these bubbles with college football and the NFL. I'm really skeptical on the season happening. I think college basketball will happen. Just again, they made limited to conference play only and just do bubbles. But I'm more confident in college basketball than college football.
I think college football would happen if they moved to more regional, like a Florida State playing FAU, FIU, UCF, USF, keeping it that close. Even if you play a conference game, going up to Syracuse, I don't know if that's really feasible right now. I don't know if it's smart right now either, though. So, I mean, maybe they follow the JUCO route and play in spring. I don't know. I'm just not confident season's played, which hurts my feelings.
I'm optimistic, and Nate's being Debbie Downer tonight, and Austin's just a usual Debbie Downer. So I'm saying that there is going to be a football season being played.
You say Debbie Downer, but we say realistic.
Yeah, I'm optimistic and realistic. I think it's going to be played. These teams need some money, even though you're not going to get them from stands and whatnot, but TV deals are going to do it. I mean, the TV deals, what they're going to do is they're going to look at how every frigging game that's being played on national television is shattering records. So, I mean, they're going to just present that and make a shit ton of money off of it, I think. And I just cussed. That's my fourth cuss. I just screwed it up there. I don't know. I'm optimistic, though. Fingers are crossed. I just feel it in the air. It's coming.
It's just going to be...
It's one of those things. I'm just gonna go because I hate you. It would have to be one of those things where it's similar to a bubble where they all go to one city. I don't think you can have them travel and make it realistic. Like all the ACC teams would have to go to Charlotte, where you can play at UNC Charlotte's campus, Bank of America Stadium, these other schools or these other stadiums that are around Charlotte. And the SEC would maybe have to go to Atlanta and do the same thing with Georgia Tech and Mercedes-Benz Dome and things like that.
I just don't. I mean, what are you going to do next season? I mean, eventually you're going to have to play, and some kids are not going to be able to play the game. You just have to get it going here. What are we going to do next year? Go through the whole same spiel again?
By next season, you'll hopefully have a vaccine. We're not even close right now.
It'll be like required for every college student to have the vaccine.
By the time that's ready, though, I'll have a gray beard, I'm sure.
Well, we'll see what happens in 98 days.
Yeah.
You know what happens in 98 days, right?
Dustin grows facial hair.
I don't even know what's happening tomorrow, much less 98 days.
The election.
Oh, gosh.
So.
That'll be real fun.
We'll see how prevalent COVID is, but that's a whole different discussion.
This is next question from Knowles.access asks, QB room. That's all that it is.
You have three different questions there, bro.
Well, there's three, but we've already touched on the offensive line, and the other one's just upcoming season. So
are they asking how we think it unfolds, or?
Yeah, probably unfolds. I'm guessing
I think
just a quick little preview. Yeah.
I think you probably start the season with Blackman. I don't think he's going to be the guy. I've already said how much I'm not a fan of him. I think that, Jordan Travis does not fit this offense because he just is unable to hit the broadside of a barn. What he can bring as a runner. I think that, maybe Norvell has something for him in a special package. He is a really good runner, but I think it comes down to, you're looking at Blackman versus Purdy with possibly, Tate being a third guy. I don't think that Travis really has a role in this team moving forward. If we're still talking about Kendall Briers and Willie Taggart, I think it's a different story.
This next question, hey, Logan, do you miss me? No. That was actually a question. Let's see here. No, sorry. Shout out, JC. Thank you for listening. I'm not a good mean person. And we kind of already did this over here with Jordan. He asked, is COVID-19 benefiting Miami recruiting and hurting at FSU and UF recruiting? We kind of went over that earlier. That was a good question from our Discord fam. Let's see. Kenny Joyce 15 asks, I personally think this can be a top 25 defense. With these new coaches, what do you think?
Go ahead, Dustin. If you can go first.
I'm gonna say yes, because I think Florida State still has a lot of talent on defense, especially up front now on that interior defensive line. If the linebackers can take a step forward under Chris Marv and those talented DBs can finally start showing it consistently, I think the defense could look very good. And I mean, you've got Adam Fuller, who is a solid defensive coordinator. Obviously, Marcus Woodson coming over from Auburn, Odell, John Papuchis. I'm excited to see what the defense is going to do. They've got some guys.
So, I agree that FSU is not lacking. I think that it comes down to a pass rush and what they can do generating, getting pressure to the quarterback, which is something they struggled with the last couple of years since Burns left. But going from near 100 up to 25, I think it is a lot to ask. I think making the top 35 would be a major feather in his cap. When he went to Memphis, so just look at Memphis last year. In 2018, they were 94th in scoring, and 94th also in and yards allowed. In 2019, they went up to 47 and 54. So, a huge improvement from year over year. He did the same thing at Marshall. At Marshall in 2018, I think he was only one of 3 teams that didn't allow a 100-yard rusher. So, he's a really good coach. As Dustin said, there's a lot of good assistants that they brought to the team. I think if they get top 25, you're looking at a Florida State team that might be a top 15 team.
Yeah, and you're also going to need some guys to stay healthy. I mean, Kando has got to stay healthy. Hamza has got to stay healthy, and also Woodby. Guys that are coming off injuries from last year.
Absolutely.
This next question comes from Jarvis_Jordan. Says, how are the developmental tackles, Chaz Neal, Willis, and Jalen Goss, how are they coming along?
I don't know if you consider Willis a developmental guy. He's a freshman. From all reports, he was a guy who progressed very well as a senior. A guy who's 6'7", 310. I think he's definitely the left tackle of the future. There's a lot of guys that follow South Florida recruiting and those teams that are really high on him and how he can develop as a tackle. I definitely think he's far and away the better out of those 3 guys. I just don't really expect much of Neal or Goss yet. So I just don't. I don't see it. If FSU has to depend on those 2 guys, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I would just say they're still under development.
Yes, but they had good coaching last year. Clements is a good coach, and they have another solid coach coming in Atkins, and that can make a major difference. But they are what they are. There are major projects coming in. Neal being a move over from defense and Jalen being 240 pounds coming in, very, very, very thin. So, we'll see what Atkins can do.
Yeah. Like you said, it's been really tough for Goss to gain weight so far over his career. And then Chaz Neal kind of been the opposite. He's completely reshaped his body. I think I was doing the math on an article I wrote a couple weeks ago. He's added 82 pounds since arriving in Tallahassee, and that's just
he looks great.
Continued over this offseason. And I think with Alex Atkins there, who was really a tutor on the offensive line, that's going to be really big for him.
Yeah, I mean, and Goss is up to 270, so it's not like he's small, but he's not gonna hold up against defensive ends who are 285, 290 coming off the ball.
This next question is going to be coming from Leo Sursus. Asks, you think they will make a multi-million-dollar football-only facility? What is the deal with that? So maybe asking for an update here on this end regarding the football-only facility. We know that Willie Taggart at some point made a pretty decent donation, but that's probably going to be reversed backwards, and he's going to keep that moolah. But obviously,
also
big competition.
Buyout.
Yeah. obviously. And then also the Clemson's got their football only facility. Florida State's been lacking in that area, and really what they have is the more. And I think the main problem too is for having the more there and having to deal with also scheduling your workouts with other sports teams in there. I think track and field works out in there along with some other teams. It causes for a lot of you have to rely on different scheduling and different stuff like that. If you could just have a football only facility, they could just be able to prepare on their own workouts, and classes would be able to be managed a little bit better scheduling wise. But we haven't heard too much about it, but we know that it looks nice.
I think it happens. Wins cure all. FSU starts to win, that money's going to come magically appear.
This next question comes from Cole Quintanilla. Will there be any way to evaluate Norvell and his staff if there is no season? Probably not.
Keep watching what they're doing on the recruiting trail and how they're getting kids to buy in.
Mm-hmm.
It would be even more impressive if the recruiting class finishes in the top 15 without a season, because it shows that even without them putting their product on the field at Florida State in the first year, they got guys to buy into what they're trying to develop the future of the program into.
Absolutely. This class and next class are going to be, it's going to separate the true evaluators from the other colleges. So, they really haven't had much of an opportunity to really truly in person evaluate. So, whoever comes out of these 2 years, that's who you got to really look at as the elite evaluators of college football. And I'm not saying it because I'm a Florida State fan. I just think that Norvell's up there in terms of his ability to evaluate and find the guys that he wants on both sides of the ball.
Last two questions here of the night. This is coming from Brett Newsom again. Why isn't FSU as known as other schools? And this might be just
in what context?
Personal question.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like recruits?
Because for football, I mean, the logo still moves a decent amount of weight. I mean, even when we're sucking, we're moving national headlines.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball is getting there. I mean, you're seeing that on the recruiting trail right now. Blue chips are constantly putting Florida State in their top 5, top 9, top 10, top whatever. I really don't think we're that unknown. I think we've got one of the biggest out-of-state fan bases nationwide.
If anything, I'd say, why is FSU more known than other schools right now? That'd be a better question.
I think if you look at recruiting-wise, the product on field, but I agree with Austin that, irregardless of what's happening with FSU, it's still making headlines on ESPN. With that whole thing with Marvin Austin, it was, all over their talk shows and everything. So FSU still holds a lot of national attention. And as basketball grows, as they continue to have success with all these other sports that they are, that helps the brand as a whole. But I think Florida State still is a national brand, so I don't really see, them not really being known as others.
Yeah, Florida State and news-wise and everything nationally still moves the needle. Look at the Marvin Wilson thing. It was up for 10 minutes. And like Marvin Wilson pretty much said on air on ESPN when he did his interview last week, he was like, I was pretty shocked how quickly that got out across the whole country. I think he was.
Especially when Clemson was happening at the exact same time. Who's been one of the national powers the last 5 years. Nothing. You have FSU who's sucked for 3 years, and here they are on every first headline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Florida State's still here, and that's why Mike Norvell, hopefully, and staff and company is going to bring it up into a positive note instead of negativity the last couple of years. The last question, too, is from Britt Newsom asking, what should the stadium or field, it should just be stadium, what should the stadium be named next? So this has kind of been a quiet topic the last couple of weeks. No really big updates from Thrasher and company, nothing too huge on what they want to do to maybe if they are going to change the Doak Campbell Stadium name. But if you guys and we were going to change it, what would we name it to?
Going full sellout public stadium.
No, that was my answer too.
No way.
Bobby Bowden Field at Public Stadium.
Let's go.
Honey Butter Stadium, baby.
Honey Butter.
Honey Butter Biscuit Stadium. But it just sounds
Honey
better,
Butter.
Honey Butter.
Oh my gosh! I thought you didn't know what it was called. I was nervous there for a second.
Sell it to the highest bidder, and there's your footballing facility.
Could you just imagine pub subs in the middle of a game? Oh my God.
Woo.
I don't know if I'd really be able to sit in the stands. I'd just be going to get my second half sub that I already ate the first half for. I would actually buy food inside the stadium if that was the case.
I think everyone would. It would lead to the same problem we have with the Champions Club, where no one's in there because they're inside eating food and enjoying the air conditioning.
Yeah, they need to figure that out too. My dad sits up there, and I've been up there for a few games with them, and either they got to start letting more people up there, so whenever it's a national televised games like that, at least that side of the stadium is packed. Because if you look at, I think Clemson's has the same kind of template with their club seating up there, if I'm correct. And it seems pretty packed in theirs, but if you look at Florida State's, it's pretty dim. It's like 50-50 almost for some games because they're inside, and most of them are just money people that are over there to conversate and enjoy a game because they'll fly in for like the 3-game package, so they'll just be there to network and hang out and drink. But we got to get some like real fans in there that like want to watch the game. Although the last couple of seasons, though, I mean,
not been much to watch.
Yeah,
Not even
probably,
the real fans want to watch the game.
Let me ask a question for you guys. Is like with Florida State doing poorly the last couple seasons, do you guys lose a drive of watching other college football games?
Hell no. Nah, college football is far and away my favorite sport. I watch Southern Tech versus Northern State if that's on TV. I love college football, so it just pisses me off more than anything knowing that FSU is. You look at LSU and, their kind of rise under a guy who was a freaking bust at Ole Miss. So part of it is luck and luck of the draw. I think that plays a part, but, it's also hires and, your support staff, which FSU has done a really poor job at. It just makes you really pissed off as a fan that they let it get to that point.
I would say it makes things a little bit less exciting. Like if there's a really big game on that I'm watching, normally I'd be like, all right, let's see, like Ohio State's number 4, FSU's number 7. I want to watch this game and see how good they are compared to FSU, and maybe they're going to play each other in a bowl game down the line or something like that. No, it's like Ohio State's number 4 and FSU's number 134. I mean, does it matter?
Yeah.
Now this Ohio State versus Northwestern game doesn't really matter as much to me.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I'm kind of that same way with. I'm that same way with Dustin. Like if there's a huge game on, yeah, I'll watch. But like, I only watched one of the playoff games from this past year, I think, and then obviously the national championship. But it just doesn't draw me in. And obviously, I'm more college basketball now. Part of being with the basketball team for 3 years, you kind of grow out of college football a little bit just because you're on basketball 24/7. But yeah, I definitely
weird
would say,
flex.
I'm just saying, like, Florida State basketball is very. You are part of Florida State basketball. Like, they don't want you wearing football shirts, soccer shirts. It's a basketball team. So that kind of helped me grow out of college football. But yeah, I still watch a lot of it, just not nearly as much as I did when we were good.
Mm-hmm. I think I've lost a lot of drive, I'll be honest. I mean, I probably watched more NFL the last couple of seasons than college football, and I used to love college football, but whenever FSU's not in the mix and you can't even watch Florida State games and cover them to really like get any kind of drive of like, oh my gosh, do they have a chance to get up there and compete with Clemson and just your division? Like, that's not even a game. Like, that's not even a chance. Like, after 5 weeks into the season, then I just lose a lot of the interest. I don't really care about the ACC standings. And then if you think nationally, I'm like, well, Florida State being the top 40, it just kind of I just lose a lot of drive just watching.
And
I've lost a lot of drive watching college football.
When you're in dogfights with Louisiana Monroe, it just sucks the soul out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I think what hurts is you go and then you look at another team like your primetime games and see what discipline is and like how good a team is really, and not complaining with each other and stuff, and just really good coaching. Like it probably sucks for FSU fans to watch that and then see what's going on in Tallahassee and be like, well.
And for me, being someone that follows recruiting so closely, I like to see how kids, develop and how they do in college, So I think that's one reason why I'm so big on college ball is just following those kids and see how they progress.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to end it off for this podcast. An hour and 40 minutes, about, I think, an hour and 20 minutes of that is full questions and answered. So definitely appreciate everybody from Discord. Discord's been blowing up, over 1,200 members on there. Thank you guys for sending in questions, along with the Instagram family. And then the Twitter guys that threw a couple in there too. I really appreciate it. Next week, I think we're going to get here and start previewing depth chart projections. Dustin just released all of them, offense, defense, and special teams. So I think that's when we'll start getting into the groove of previewing those position groups and going dialed in and figuring out where guys might fit the best, because we didn't get to have a spring to really go off of. So it'll be interesting to see some guys' takes on where they should go on those depth chart projections. But yeah, as always, definitely if you're on iTunes, we would really, really appreciate it if you'd rate the podcast 5 stars. It helps a lot, more than you think. And if you leave a review, that helps a ton too, and we'll shout you out on the next podcast. Make sure you hit those subscribe buttons on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play. We're on Twitter at Hear the Spear. The guys' Twitters are down below. We will talk to you guys in the Discord. Football's in the air, except for Nate's, Debbie down herself, and Austin's too. We're not listening to them. Football's coming, I think. Fingers crossed. We will talk to you guys next week. Appreciate you.
Not the same word, 17,